Alright everyone, it's time for yet another garden update. We had like a small storm roll through earlier and it sprinkled a bit of rain, so things are kind of moist, but they've mostly dried out, so they're actually looking pretty good. If you look at the beets, you can see there is wilt setting in, but it's come about so late that most of these beets, look at that. They're getting on towards ready. There's going to be a bumper crop of beets this year. Once I thin them out, they'll grow even faster, give them one more load of fertilizer. Turnips are ready to harvest, all of them. Cabbages are all curling. These ones on this end are getting eaten a little bit, but these ones are pristine. I'd rather leave the other ones on that end to let something like bite on them, since hopefully they'll focus on those and leave these big-ass ones alone. Those will all get full size. I mean, look at the size of that. The massive cabbage leaves right there. And these beets are doing pretty good. This is that plant that, and that one there is rotten, so let me take care of that. This plant is what's called a pumpzini or something like that. Yeah, let's get that off there. Don't want rot to set in. That other one got nibbled on a little. Those will, I don't know, do whatever. This one I'm pretty sure is also the same thing. Look how it's getting fatter there. So I don't know if they're edible, but they look cool anyway. Take a look at these. Nice bell peppers, and that'll put out 5 or 6 more probably. Look at these. These are the sweet bananas. Getting pretty big there. A couple nice ones, a couple smaller at the top. Those aren't the jalapenos. This one I think is also a sweet bell, and I think the one next to it, I think this one was an Anaheim if I remember. In fact, this one could be an Anaheim actually. It's hard to tell until they get bigger. I picked down the tea again just a couple days ago, and as you can see it's flushing out again. This one in the middle, a little bit of discoloration, but it'll do fine. Just another batch of high nitrogen fertilizer on it. It'll puff it right up. And all the cucumbers and everything are doing well. There's a lot of Nicotiana coming, as you can see. These draw the squash beetle away from everything. These tomatoes are perfect. And look at all these, look at all the tomatoes on it. This one, ironically, I'm not 100% sure this is actually a cherry, because those look a little bit more like a Roma to me. Like an infant Roma. And these grape ones in there, these are the compact ones. These are the determinate kind that don't really keep growing. These are an indeterminate bushing kind. These are already almost unmanageably large. There's an incredible number of tomatoes on them. The beans will be coming out soon, especially here. These ones are doing really well. The artichoke, as you can see, is getting there, definitely. It's gonna have some good shit on it. I've never actually, I don't even know if I've eaten an artichoke. Come to think of it, I'm not 100% sure I have. Swiss chard still looking like a salad patch. Again, a little bit of wilt setting in, but it literally doesn't matter. It won't kill the plants at this point. They've grown too big and powerful to be killed by it. These are starting to produce little, pickles in training. Let's see, where's seeing a couple earlier. See, baby pickles in training. Those are going to be tasty. There's a whole patch of beans here. More peppers. Oh, this one, all right, I didn't notice that. This, I believe, is a jalapeno. Or maybe I planted an ancho here. I can't fucking remember. How am I supposed to remember? I planted too many of them. The pumpkin has mostly recovered. Now that I put up that thing for squash beetles and the Nicotiana have come out, it's recovering. Starting to get little vines. See that one in there? I'll have to cut off. It's kind of yucky. These are starting to go by. They were peak maybe a week ago. They'll keep putting out more blossoms, but for the most part they're starting to go by because it was only one planting instead of 2. Herb bed, look at how happy it is. Just absolutely perfect. And that tomato in there, boy, that's going to be tasty. I can't wait to see what kind it is. It may be a Black Prince, it may be a Roma, it may be a cherry or a grape. It could be a beefsteak. Could be, what was that one I grew last year? It wasn't a brandy wine. There was some other variety I grew last year that was really tasty, but it looked like shit. It's sort of like a brandy wine. Can't remember. Look at that. Oh, it smells so good, you have no fucking clue. If you've never tried fresh dill, it's so much better than anything you'll get like in a store. This is now 6 feet tall, by the way, this sunflower. It's as tall as I am. In fact, it's getting up. It'll at least hit 8 feet. Guaranteed. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the big ones, like not one of the ones that comes. Some of them come up, there's like 1 or 2 big flowers. Others will come up and there's dozens of smaller ones that last a little bit less time. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is the big stocky one. The lilies in there. They're getting ready. See, they're gonna have flowers there. At some point there might be a second flush of irises since I deadheaded everything, but I wouldn't count on it. There's a couple more lilies over there. Look at the chives are turning into bushes. Oh my god. Happy flowers. One type of oregano. A little bit of everything. Garlic for vampires, of course. This squash is doing well, the Blue Hubbard. Gonna have several on it probably. Those collards are nice and happy. I will harvest them at some time soon. Probably get 3 or 4 pickings out of it through the year, since I like to eat a lot of it. Like some people, they'll pick a couple leaves of something and they're like, oh, what a nice salad. It's like, you know, 3 bites of food is not, you know, oh, there's another pepper. You know, where have you been that 3 bites of food is your meal? You know, these are some happy fucking carrots, let me tell you that much. Look at that. Yeah, it's right in there. It's probably half a foot long at least by now. I can't remember. I think these are Nantes carrots that I planted. More Nicotiana. There aren't going to be as many Nicotiana this year, although there will be a second flush of them because there are some coming up and back, and they grow fast. In peak growing July through the middle of August, peak growing season, they'll grow pretty readily. See, these I think are normal zucchinis. It's like 3 or 4 of them. That one got fucked. I think there's 3 on this one, and one over here has a couple. So there's still going to be a lot of zucchini. I mean, 2 or 3 plants will supply a whole family once it starts going. It's almost impossible to use them all. Same is true of cucumbers, like for pickling or whatever. You go from having basically nothing to having too many. It's like you spend half the day pickling or doing whatever. Marigolds, these are starting to puff up and get a little bit bigger than they were before. You know, remember the ones in the middle here especially were kind of anemic. They've greened up a little bit. But yeah, don't need to water today. I let things dry out a little bit once in a while and it's healthy. These pretty soon, they're putting out their last stage of new growth. These are going to bush out and have those nice long pink flowers on them. They'll flower through September. Those are one of my favorites. I don't even 100% know what they are. I always thought they were phlox. I'm not 100% sure though. You can see the horseradish and there's like a small forest. Everything's growing so rapidly. I mean, if I had done more prep, if I had done a little bit more preparation, like if we didn't have deformed zucchini pumpkins, probably would have a bumper crop of everything. I wish I had put in more carrots because they're doing so well. I should have put in 5 or 6. This whole thing would have been carrots if I'd had my druthers, but I needed room for the tomatoes. I guess I would have put a couple more tomatoes here instead of the garlic. Take these with the beans out and put in 3 or 4 more rows of carrots if I had had my choice. And I might not have planted quite so many beets because now that I see how well they're doing, it might be a little excessive. Some of them, in any year, some of the beets will stay small. Like you can see, this one has some nice greenery. There's not a whole lot of root down there. That happens. Sometimes they just have a problem. There's all these little things down, and I don't even know what that plant is. Some of them now are getting on towards the size of softballs, though. And I mean, the potato plant. This potato just did not want to die. At some point, someone threw a chunk of potato out that had a rotten spot or something, and it just sort of grew. They're notorious for that sort of treatment, that sort of behavior. At least the purple basil's starting to get bigger. I can't help myself. Oh God, it's like the greatest. Let me tell you, the purple basil definitely is the best. I like the smell of any basil. Sweet basil, the Thai basil, the cinnamon basil that's back there is pretty cool, but nothing beats the red kind. You sprinkle that on your pizza, like extra basil, anything. So great. So yeah, everything, it's looking really good, especially now after a short thunderstorm. So it got a little bit of rain, but it's not fully irrigated today. I'm going to let it dry off because tomorrow I think there are going to be very severe storms, actually. And, really quick here before I turn it off. Oh, yep, the catnip is starting to blossom, as you can see. That part's the part that cats like the most, by the way. They like it dried. I found that they like it dried more than fresh. You look at all the milkweed here. Monarch butterflies come through here every year, throughout, August into September a bit. They'll come and you'll find caterpillars probably on these. I wouldn't be surprised. There are some out in the field as well. You can see we left some of the milkweed plants sort of trim around them. There are a few dozen down in the field down there, about a dozen over here, and then there's this patch. That's important because a lot of times, on lawns and stuff, people spray pesticides and get rid of these. Monarch butterflies, which there's one literally right there. There you go. Yeah, okay. Speak of the devil. Probably see more of them, by the way. They need little food corridors. They need a place to have their caterpillars able to actually eat the milkweed. They need it. That's their main food supply. I think there are a few other things that they'll eat, but for the most part it's milkweed. So this is a perfect little habitat where they won't be disturbed. There's no chemicals deployed nearby. Nobody in this neighborhood, I think, uses pesticides at all. I haven't really seen anyone do that. Yeah. So hopefully there'll be a few monarch caterpillars so that that species won't go extinct, because there's only like one roosting place down in Mexico that they go every year, and then they come up here and they need to eat. So leave the milkweed. You see that? Leave it alone here in the eastern United States. That's about all. Peace out.